Greetings, everyone. All right, we're gonna rewind time a little bit and pick up some slack from week 5 of the VGC Draft League. We got one more match from that week that we haven't gotten to, or that hasn't been played up until now, and that's Quaylectra versus TreeDolphin. So just heading into the matchup, I'll give TreeDolphin the advantage here. While Torkoal can set up the sun and kind of slow down the Palafin, which is one of the stronger members of TreeDolphin's team, and also has a pretty good matchup into things like the Meowscarada and even the Toadstool. I think the Palafin just puts on a lot of pressure once it gets into hero form, since under Trick Room, you still have access to the Jet Punch. Even in the sun, it's still going to do a pretty good chunk of damage, and it helps it bypass the turn order that the Trick Room sets down. We also have the use of Sableye, and we've seen Sableye use Rain Dance, plenty of times to help slow down anything, fire related. So that shouldn't be a surprise here either, to counteract the drought ability. And I'm also keeping my eye on potentially Dash Bun. If we're hyper focusing on targeting down this Torkoal and getting rid of it, using the well-baked body ability helps you get past that. Helps you nullify the eruptions and the flamethrowers and whatnot. It's also a good way to deal with the Zoroark. We've seen Quaylectra use that a couple of times to try and throw opponents off. When it comes to, typically you see the Oranguru Torkoal lead, and Zoroark's been kind of that monkey wrench to try and get some easy damage and then actually maneuver the Torkoal into position, or whatever offensive tool that they want to use from there. By virtue of Dash Bun naturally being a fairy type and having that well-baked body ability, Zoroark's two main attacks, the Night Daze and the Flamethrower, get nullified by the combination of those two. So that may play out in TreeDolphin's favor. On top of that, you still have the use of Spiritomb. So like in combination with Sableye, you can use things like Quash, Snarl to kind of stall out the game. And at the same time, things like Mouse Hold can't even touch you if it wants to use Population Bomb to try and get some offense started under a regular speed mode. So yeah, a lot of tools going in TreeDolphin's favor here. On Quaylectra's side, we're still just looking at Torkoal being the main offender here and trying to get it set up and supported through the use of Oranguru. There's a potential we may see something like Mousehold or Raichu come out to try and support their efforts, because as we've gone week by week, the Torkoal Oranguru just straight up at the lead has not really worked out too well for Quaylectra. So if they're going to make any adjustments, it may start from there, using the Follow Me and the Friend Guard from Mousehold, or even the Fake Out from Raichu, just to give a little bit of breathing room to whatever they set up next to it. And then I'm not sure how well it'll work out, but the Golduck could potentially take advantage of if we're expecting Rain Dance Sableye, could take advantage of that and turn it on TreeDolphin's head. Who knows? So yeah, let's go ahead and see what the players have selected and how they're going to carry out this match. Game 1. So on Quaylectra's side, they've opted for Oranguru, Zoroark, Torkoal, Scovillain, Palossand, and Raichu. Interesting option there. On TreeDolphin's side, we see Palafin, Meowscarada, Toxtricity, Sableye, Rapska, and Bisharp. So relying on Palafin and Meowscarada as per usual for TreeDolphin, with a mix of the Toxtricity, has been doing pretty well. Like, diversifying the special and physical offense between those three Pokemons worked pretty solidly for them. We also have the support from Sableye. Again, we're kind of expecting Rain Dance to come through here. And they're bringing back the Rapska. Some Revival Blessing shenanigans very likely to go down. Meanwhile, for Quaylectra, we see the usual suspects. We see the Oranguru, the Torkoal, the Zoroark that they had recently picked up. I'm particularly curious to how the Palossand will play out if they decide they want to use it, because we've seen sets with things like Boom Burst on the Toxtricity, so there's a chance to nullify that through Palossand's Ghost typing, and also gets to fire back at the Rapska, so it doesn't get we've seen Rapska with Leopard Berry to get 2 Revival Blessings. With the pressure of Palossand's Shadow Ball, that might be enough to kind of deter at least one of those Revival Blessings. Unsure. Maybe they go offensive with the Raichu and start to use Discharge spam. Either way, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm not the player here. These two are. Pokeballs are out. Toxtricity and Sableye coming out from TreeDolphin to lead things off. And we're going to see Oranguru and Torkoal well, could be Oranguru. We don't know. We know Torkoal's there. Don't know if that's actually Oranguru. Torkoal's going to make a quick exit into the Palisand, expecting electric attack from the Toxtricity, who Terra Normals instead. Fake out from the Sableye and Boom Burst. Not going to affect the Palisand. And of course, with the inner focus from the Oranguru, fake out's not going to affect that. What affect the Oranguru while it uses Chilling Water onto the Palisand, activating its weakness policy and getting a +2 defense boost with its water compaction ability. Excellent. Sableye with the quash, so we can slow down the Palisand and get another Boom Burst out before Oranguru can do any further damage here. The Palisand already showing its power after that weakness policy with a Shadow Ball, almost one-hit KOing the Sableye. Torkoal's going to pick things up from here, going to go ahead and get a Protect, while Sableye gets the Rain Dance to slow the Torkoal down. Boom Burst from Toxtricity. Looks like it may be locked in based on that play, while it takes an Earth Power for 100% of its health. Palisand about to be on a tear here unless TreeDolphin can find a way to slow it down or one-hit KO it. Torkoal's going to have to exit so that Scovillain can come in. Quash from the Sableye, again to slow down the Palisand, while we see the Night Slash coming in from Bisharp, but after that +2 defense boost, it's not enough to even do 50% of its health. Palisand takes out the Sableye, so it's not going to cause a nuisance, not going to be able to put up Rain Dance to slow down the Drought coming from Torkoal in the back. Gonna make a defensive play here though with the Bisharp, gonna protect. Scovillain with the Rage Powder, expecting another Night Slash to come through, while Rapska just uses a Revival Blessing, and Toxtricity is ready to fight again. Palisand with the Earth Power, trying to one-hit KO that Bisharp. May have been ill-advised. You look at the Rapska and you know it's gonna Revival Blessing, so Shadow Ball may have been the move. Bisharp with the Night Slash to take out over half of Scovillain's health after the Rage Powder. Meanwhile, Revival Blessing comes in again, so the two fallen Pokemon have come back to battle, but Bisharp goes down quickly to the Earth Power. Remember, TreeDolphin doesn't have Terra any longer, so they don't have that tool available to use to increase their damage. Scovillain with another Rage Powder. Toxtricity just going to use Overdrive to KO the Scovillain, and so it can maximize its damage potential versus the Torkoal when it comes in. Bug Buzz from the Rapska, gonna do a pretty good amount of damage there, but not enough to put it in range for lethal. Meanwhile, Palisand with the Shadow Ball immediately takes out the Toxtricity. Torkoal coming in to finish things off here. Sableye is back up again thanks to the Revival Blessing, so Rain Dance can come through if they want to. And they do choose to do so. Meanwhile, Torkoal with the Terra Fire takes a Bug Buzz so that the power of Eruption is going to be lowered, but this late into the end game, Eruption, even doused out by the rain with that Terra Fire, does a chunk to the Rapska, and Sableye is just on death's door as well. TreeDolphin's gonna call it there, and that is game number 1. Very interesting events going on here. So even with the Revival Blessing, TreeDolphin wasn't able to find a good, solid offensive position to launch against Quaylectra, who was able to keep Torkoal safe into the very end and popped off a lot with the weakness policy Palisand, with the Chilling Water from the Oranguru, so you're just doing minimal damage. You're lowering the attack stat, which Palisand doesn't really care about, and activating the water compaction. That was a really great combo that just took control of the game. All right, game number 2, and you kind of have to expect that Palafin is coming along this time from TreeDolphin to try and make some adjustments here. I don't hate the Toxtricity. It looks like it might have been a Choice Specs version. It was pumping out quite a bit of damage on its own, but the Palisand in the mix throws a huge monkey wrench into that. So there's going to have to be a performance from Palafin and Meowscarada, I believe, to put pressure on that in order to take control of the game. So let's see what they're able to do to fight back here. All right, and there we do see the Palafin coming out from TreeDolphin alongside the Sableye. We're still looking to try and shut down the Drought using the Rain Dance ability, and we do see Torkoal come out, immediately setting up the Drought. Have a Raichu leading off, immediately putting pressure on the Palafin. So pretty good option there. Rain Dance coming out from the Sableye, and we see a Night Daze launched into the Sableye. We already know who that is, right alongside the Torkoal, and Eruption to follow up. Terra Fire is just going to double up and KO the Sableye, so it is out of the picture. If Torkoal resets, there's no chance of a Rain Dance coming back. Meanwhile, Palafin re-enters the field under Rain. Is going to do quite a bit of damage with whatever it decides to launch an attack with. Jet Punch into what was definitely the Zoroark there, one-hit KOs it. Meanwhile, the Boom Burst, oh lord, that actually KOs its own Palafin and brings Raichu down to Sash. That's actually pretty devastating. the Paladin was set to do a ton of damage in the end game, especially under rain. Masquerada has to come in and pick up the slack. It takes a fake out from the Raichu, flinches, and the Toxtricity is going to be forced to Boom Burst here, which KOs the Raichu, but can't touch the Palisand. At the same time, because the Masquerada is not protecting, it gets knocked out by the Boom Burst as well. With the Earth Power from Palisand, that seals up the match. What a turn of events. Like, the Toxtricity ended up being a really strong damage piece for TreeDolphin, but unfortunately knocking out its own Pokemon just benefited Quaylectra on the opposite end. I gotta give this to the Palisand for throwing such havoc into the mix. The Toxtricity couldn't quite do what it wanted to do, which was try and get two knockouts in the same go. With Palisand being immune to both the Boom Burst and the Overdrive, it's not actually able to accomplish that. What is said, but congratulations to Quaylectra at the bottom of the standings and trying to fight back. They do have a shot to make it into the playoffs depending on how the final weeks go, and getting this one on the board is very crucial, a crucial step towards that. So yeah, again, congrats to them. All right, taking another look at these lineups, I think both players brought what they could have brought optimally for the most part. With TreeDolphin, you have many more options that could have been used that are all, I think, viable into this matchup. Masquerada, Palafin, Sableye, Toxtricity are just solid brings to any of their matchups. Pretty much the strongest, highest utility Pokemon that they have on the team by far. And then the remaining two could have been just about anything. We saw the Bisharp, we saw the Rapska getting the Revival Blessing off in game 1, but also Dachsbun, like I mentioned, could have been a potential option to help further nullify Torkoal and Zoroark. Even Spiritomb helping out with the Torkoal Trick Room matchup with the Snarls, could have been effective. But that being said, Quaylectra, I think, kind of limited on options actually. Torkoal and Oranguru, most certainly. I like the Raichu option, gives a little bit of breathing room with the fake out. And of course, they've been bringing Zoroark to try and kind of mess with the leads a little bit. And it's kind of hard to stake it out unless it's like a Torkoal leading. If Drought's not up, we already know who that is, right? But meanwhile, with the Raichu that we saw next to the Zoroark, couldn't quite pin down the fact that it was not Raichu. It was actually Zoroark leading with the Night Days, got rid of the Sableye pretty quickly as a result. But the big factor here was the Palisand. Just nullifying the Toxtricity as one of the hardest hitters on TreeDolphin's team, with the intent that it would pick up 2 knockouts at the same time with Terra Normal Boom Burst or Overdrive. Palisand gets to nullify both of those with its ground ghost typings, just the perfect matchup into that Toxtricity. And at the same time, it's kind of causing some havoc because the Toxtricity opted for Choice Specs this time, which means they're locked into the Boom Burst, which means if they don't protect with their own Pokemon, that Pokemon then gets knocked out, as we just saw. So it's kind of hard to predict that the Palisand comes in this case, because they're walking into Masquerada and they're walking into Palafin. You don't expect them to actually do that, and to activate Water Compaction and Weakness Policy in the way that they did. You don't expect the Oranguru to just use the Chilling Water to get that rolling either. So just 2 games where Palisand got to roll over the team just by its mere presence. Really cool preparation from Quaylectra. So big ups to them once again. A good win for them, because they might be able to claw back a win, another win to get into playoffs potentially. They're at the bottom of the standings, but this one is the first step on the path to making it to possibly the 4th seed. They'll have to get past me next in week 7, so look forward to that video. Anyway, that actually finally wraps up the week 5 replays for our group, and we're going to be working on the week 6 replays next. I've already released my video for my matchup if you want to check out the last video, and of course once the replays from week 6 in full come through, we'll try and get that all done in one go as well. Either way, if you enjoy this kind of content, I appreciate it if you leave a like and a comment. Don't even have to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.